Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, February 5th, 2015, and this is episode 5 of Serenova Crafts. I'm your host, Jessica, and I also go by Serenova online, so you can find me under that name on Ravelry, YouTube, Twitter. Instagram is Serenova_Phoenix. Don't worry, I'll put all this up at the end of the show. First things first. The reason I am recording a day late. I finally started working, yay! But that means that I was in Cambridge Friday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So Friday, January 30th, and then Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, which means that today was the first day I had to record, or at least the first time I had to record with actual daylight, because when I got home last night, it was already dark, and I was exhausted from the commute. So unfortunately, I just conked out last night and I couldn't record. The job has been going well. I'm actually working from home today. I'm taking a quick break. I actually logged on earlier this morning and I'm taking a quick break to record this, and then I'll probably edit on my lunch break. So this will probably be up sometime in the afternoon, even though it's only 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording this. So, but yeah, the job's been going well. I got my work laptop and everything to, you can see Koki down there. She's quite happy I'm home today, because the last couple of days, she's been quite lonely. You might be able to hear her. She's meowing pretty loudly. Do you want to come up, pretty girl? Come on, you want to come up? You want to come up? No, they can't see you on camera. Do you want to see the pretty kitty? Nope, she is not going to cooperate and not going to jump up in my lap. She's very temperamental. But yeah, there actually hasn't been much knitting or spinning going on, and I've had to make a few adjustments to crafting plans I've had. Don't worry, I haven't actually frogged anything, but things are definitely going to slow down now that I'm working, especially because I'm supposed to be working 8 hours a day. You know, that kind of takes a huge chunk of time from when you're not working to when you're working. It's just one of those things. But I was actually quite sick over the weekend and Monday, which I didn't have to go in on Monday because there was a big snowstorm and they were like, yeah, don't come in. It's actually snowing again right now. I'm not even going to bother showing you. You're probably sick of snow pictures at this point. But we're supposed to get another foot today. We got a foot on Monday. It was supposed to be a foot on Monday. And we got those 3 feet last week, hence my Snowmageddon episode last week. So it's just been crazy. But I'm glad that I don't have to dig my car out for a while, because I don't have to go anywhere, because I don't have to commute right now. But going into Cambridge has been killer. It took me 2.5 hours to get into work yesterday, and then it took me, no, Evernote, I don't want to update right now. I'm recording my show, thank you. Sorry. It took me 2.5 hours to get into work yesterday, and on Tuesday night, it took me an hour to get out of Cambridge, let alone from Cambridge back to New Hampshire. So it's just been crazy. And honestly, I'm quite glad I don't have to do that today or tomorrow. Unless they ask me to come in, they might ask me to come in tomorrow. But I'm not too sure. We'll see how it goes. I'll play it by ear. But today, working at home. But I was sick over the weekend, but I got sick after I went to the farmer's market, which I did put up a actual blog post about, but I have the goodies here to show you. I did already eat the challah. Well, it's partially eaten, but why show you a partially eaten loaf of bread? I mean, come on, really? But it's really good challah. So the thing that got the most attention from people was my little fox jar. There were 2 at the garden center in their little gift shop, and one was red and one was white. And you can guess which one I got. So I'll turn him around for you so you can see all of him. He's really quite cute. He's a jar. I put tea in here. I have some of my tea bags. You can see I drink Tazo. And that's some Chin Chu, which is like an oriental blend. You can see he's got the gasket and stuff. So it's actually pretty good for tea, at least for tea bags. I wouldn't put loose leaf in him though. But yeah, I really liked him. I was debating whether to get him or not, and then I just said, this is a splurge day, so I splurged on him. So he was the most popular thing I got. But I also got 2 hanks of 100% alpaca. They are undyed. and they are from Artisan Yarn. Well, they're Artisan Yarns from Hamden Hills Alpacas. They don't have an address on here, but I'm going to guess they're in Hamden Hills. It's artisanyarns.biz. So here's the business card. There we go, focus, woohoo. And this is 200 yards, and it was discounted because it's undyed. They'd apparently bought too much yarn, hadn't dyed it all up, and they were just getting rid of the extra. 100% alpaca, it's 80 grams of skein, 200 yards, so it's a DK weight. It's really soft, really squishy. I'm thinking either a cowl or a hat. Probably a cowl because I won't feel it on my hair. Because, yeah, why waste super soft yarn on something that's not going to feel it? Like my hair. Why not put it around my neck or as a scarf or something? We'll see. But I have 400 yards of DK to play with, so that's nice. And then I got 8 ounces of fiber from Richard and Carol Tripp. They're in Lakeville, Mass. There's also a second farm listed, Martha's Vineyard in Tisbury, Mass, which I don't know where that is. I've never been there. But it's hand-dyed, and it's bordered Leicester. Here's the label. It's still on the fiber, so you gonna focus? Come on, focus. Boop. There we go. See? And it's really nice purples and blues. And for the price, it was $24 for the 8 ounces, which I think was a really good deal because you could spend $24 on 4 ounces. And I really like Leicester. I have some blue-faced Leicester that I've used, and this stuff feels, it's not super soft, but it's very squishy, and I think if I manage to not spin it too tightly, I'll get some nice cushy yarn out of it. So, yeah, it's a really long braid. It's one giant braid that's just been looped a bunch, like 3 times. And the last thing I got at this was actually in the Garden Center gift shop. This wasn't actually like one of the farmers market booths. But my mom and I had a blast of a time seeing all the different stuff. We want to go back. I got a hair barrette, which I don't wear these often, and I can't put all of my hair up in them because my hair is like way too thick. I have just this curly mass that I can never do anything with. But I can do like a partial pullback, like just these front pieces pulled back to the side. So I could wear this, you know, like at the back of my head, just as like a partial ponytail. But here it is. It's feathers, which I liked the look of. Trying to get it to focus. It's not focusing today. It's being contrary. Because there is like etching detail on them. I don't know if you can see it. But there's an etching detail that makes them look like feathers and stuff, and I liked it, and it wasn't that expensive, so why not? And like I said, it was a splurge day. And then we went to an Asian market on the way home, and that was a blast. I haven't been to many because New England is not known for it. I'm really not trying to sound racist here, but there is not a huge Asian community in New Hampshire. There isn't. There's a huge, I think it's a Vietnamese community in Lowell, Mass, which is where I went to college, and I encountered a lot of Asians there. But southern New Hampshire, and just New Hampshire in general, is actually not really diverse. I mean, there aren't a lot of African Americans, there aren't a lot of Native Americans, there aren't a lot of people other than people of European descent. And I kind of wish there was, because there's so much good food out there, and there's so much good culture and music and clothing, and just, I have a thing with learning about other cultures, and I feel kind of cheated living in New Hampshire because there isn't a lot. A lot of my exposure has been through the internet or special events that have come through, but it hasn't been like actually meeting people. And I think that's kind of sad. And I really wish I could get to meet these other people. And get to know these other cultures. And I have left the country. I'm not like that insular American who never goes anywhere. I have left the country. I've left the country 3 times. I went to Israel twice, and I went to Japan once. And I had a blast in Japan. I love Japan. I would go back in a heartbeat. I'd also go back to Israel in a heartbeat, but that's a whole other story. But unfortunately, there is just not a lot of non-European culture around where I live. And I mean, yeah, we get the occasional like Japanese or Chinese restaurant, but they're like the Americanized version thereof. I would have to go down into Boston, Burlington, somewhere in the greater Boston area, somewhere that isn't New Hampshire, to get that kind of culture that I'm looking for. And unfortunately, it's very hard to do on a weekday, especially when you're working. And like to go out to dinner, I'm not going to drive an hour to go to a restaurant to go to dinner. I'm going to go to something here in town. Unless it's like a weekend and it's a special occasion, then I might go that far. But like for just like going out on a whim to dinner, I'm not going to drive an hour. It's just not practical, especially if it's already like 7 o'clock at night when you decide to go. Then you're not eating until 8:39. Then you're not getting home until like bedtime. It just no. But anyways, I actually forgot to mention something that came last week in the mail. It came at the beginning of last week, and I cannot believe I forgot to mention this on my podcast. I didn't even mention it in a blog post because I was saving it for the podcast, and then I completely blanked. Because what did I do? I put the yarn in stash. I didn't actually keep the yarn out where I could see it so that I would show it. So I have 2 skeins from Amanda at Lammy Toes. She is the podcaster who does the Not a Podcast. And her Etsy shop is Lammy Toes Shop. That's Lammy as in like lamb, the animal baby sheep lamb. LAMBYTOESSHOP. And that's .etsy.com. And I got 2 skeins. One was like what she calls a whoopsie skein, where the dye process didn't exactly go right. So she discounts it because it's like a messed up skein, but she's going to sell it anyways. And then the other one is a regular skein in a color that I just really liked. So the first one is the whoopsie in winter. The color is Winter J, and it is on her Twinkle Toes sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% silver stellina. So here we go. And keep in mind, this is a whoopsie skein, which means it's not quite what she's going for when she dyes. And I'll show you her card, her tag. So there's the front, or maybe it's the back. Honestly, I don't know. And then the actual information. I'm trying to get it to focus. This is not working today. It's not liking me, but you can kind of read that. She's actually based in New York. And so the second color I got was called Mixins, and this is not a messed up skein. And this is in her Moon Pie Merino base, which is also a fingering weight. And it is 75% merino and 25% nylon. And this is 463 yards to 100 gram skein. And this is so the Winter J is 438 yards to 100 gram skein, and the mix-in is 463 yards to 100 gram skein. So this one's a little thinner than the other one. So here it is. See the colors, it's quite pretty. Here's the tag. Focus, yes, no? Still not focusing. It's like focused on me and it won't focus anywhere else. It's just one of those days. Let's see. I did finish something on Monday when I was sick on the couch because I didn't have to go in. I mean, I was ready to go in if I had to, but I was really glad I didn't because I was actually running a fever and I wasn't feeling good at all. I spent the day wrapped in a comforter off of the bed on the couch watching Mythbusters and Ghost Adventures, which I know is like a really weird combination, but Mythbusters I like because science and explosions, and Ghost Adventures I like because entertaining ghost show. So I like them for very different reasons, but I ended up watching both in the same day. So I finished, now keep in mind this is unblocked, my Vortex shawl. So it's actually going to be bigger once it's blocked because this is fingering weight yarn on a US 6 needle. Don't ask me what the millimeters are, I don't know. So here's my Vortex shawl. And this is yarn I'd had in stash for quite a while. I got it, there was a store called Windsor Button, and it was in Mass, and they had a few satellite stores around the Boston area. And in spring of 2013, they closed their door after, I think, about 90 years. They developed from just a button shop to a yarn, a crafting, a cross-stitch. They didn't really have fabric, but a very crafty place. And a lot of people were very sad to see them go. But those people who were sad to see them go, me included, I hate to see a family shop like that go under, also took advantage of their going out of business sale. In fact, between my mom and I, we bought so much yarn at their going out of business sale in Boston that we had to buy a suitcase to get it all home on the bus. You heard me right. We had to buy a suitcase, like a rolling suitcase, to put all the yarn in to get it home on the bus from Boston. It was both a really good day and a really sad day because we got a lot of really great deals on a lot of really nice yarn. But at the same time, this family business that had been an institution in the Boston area was going out of business. And I hadn't really gone to the shop a lot because unfortunately they were closing down just as I was really getting into knitting. So unfortunately I didn't get to visit them a lot, but my grandmother, growing up in the north end of Boston, used to go to them all the time for buttons and zippers and stuff because she would make her own clothes in the 30s and 40s. And like to hear her talk about them like in their early days, like decades ago, was really interesting. And it was a shame to see them go. But this was yarn I'd gotten there. It was Ella Rae Lace Merino, so nothing really special in terms of brand, but I remember that it was from Windsor. So for the bind off, I did not do the bind off the pattern says because I got distracted on that tangent about Windsor. The bind off says to do a modified picot edge bind off. I have a thing about picots. I'm not particularly fond of them. I'm not one for frills and fringe and edgy stuff like that. I like my edges to be smooth and clean, and so I just don't really like picots. Like, I'll do a lace edging on something as long as the very edge, like the bind off edge of the lace is smooth. Or it comes to the points. I don't mind the points for some reason. I'm really picky about my edging, and don't ask me why. It's just one of those things, you know, as a knitter, you have certain likes and dislikes. And for me, picots is one of those dislikes. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just a personal taste preference. So instead of doing the modified picot bind off, I did 4 rows of garter stitch, and then I did a stretchy bind off. So this still needs to be blocked, but it's been so cold, and I wasn't feeling good, and then I was working, that I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But it's a free pattern on Ravelry, Vortex Shawl. It's like a 2-page pattern. There's 15 rows of instructions, and then you repeat rows 14 and 15 ad infinitum, basically until you run out of yarn. Or, well, until you have enough yarn to do your bind off of choice. A lot of people have modified the edge. A lot of people have done lace edgings, garter edgings, whatever. So you can look through the projects on Ravelry. There's a ton of gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. But I liked how this yarn didn't pool much. It pooled a little bit, but because the row lengths are constantly changing, it didn't have a chance to pool a whole lot. And this was about 1 3/4 skeins of the Ella Rae. It was color number like 107 or something like that. It was not, because Ella Rae doesn't name their colors, which kind of stinks, but you know, they're a company, it's what they do. But it came out really nice. I'm quite happy with it. And once it's blocked, it'll be a good, you know, like shawl to like pin. Because I do have shawl pins. So you can see I'm stretching it out right now because it isn't blocked. But once I block it, also once I get my hair out of the way, that helps. I'm trying to put this on. See, it's not as stretched now that I got my hair out from under it. Yeah, I have a lot of hair. So, you know, it'll be, I can use it as like a little capelet thing if I want. And I have some shawl pins I can use. So that's my plans for that. Now, I did open my February yarn on Sunday morning. I actually had my boyfriend pick the yarn when he got home on Saturday night. I wasn't feeling good Saturday night, so I didn't go over to our friend's house like we had planned. And so I sent him a text message asking him when he got back to choose one of the brown paper bags I've set all the yarn aside in. So I'm going to insert my opening of my February bag here. Hi everyone, it's the 1st of February. You know what that means. New socks. Yes, I held the thing down with duct tape. Let's see what it is. It's going to crinkle a little bit here. Ooh, good stuff. All right, these are going to be plain vanilla socks. And it is going to be yarn in the color Norbert from 100 Ravens. Here's the label. 100 Ravens. And that's pronounced Iacos. And the colorway is Norbert. Named after our favorite dragon from Harry Potter. And here's the colors. You can see the greens. It's like really dark greens and really light greens all smushed together. So there we go. Those are my socks for February. All right. So now that you've seen the color I got, let me show you my progress, which granted isn't much because I was sick. I finished the Vortex shawl and I've been working. It's been one of those weeks. It has just been one of those weeks. And so here it is. I have the toe and I'm starting to go up the foot. Now these are just my vanilla toe up socks. So cast on 20 stitches using Judy's Magic Cast On. Increase, you know, every other row using make one right and make one left depending on where you are. And every other row until 72 stitches. And then knit straight. And these are on a US 1. These are Addy Turbo needles, just so you know, because the blue cord kind of gives it away that it's an Addy, but they're turbos. And they're really pointy. These are the needles I injured myself with. And I'm hoping if I keep using them, I'll stop stabbing myself with them. Because pain is a good motivator. So here we go. Here's the toe. And I only have like a 1/2 inch of the foot. So this hasn't gotten terribly far, but I love the yarn. I love the color. It's not pooling a lot. In fact, it's not really pooling at all. I mean, every once in a while you'll have like a little bit of a couple of stitches stacked, but it's not really pooling. And I think I'm going to be quite happy with them. Now, this yarn does not have any nylon in it, so I need to be careful with them. And the socks that I still need to darn, because I haven't done that yet, those were also 100% superwash merino. So I need to be careful. I think they might be not like wear out socks, just like house socks, especially now that I'm working at home and we don't really wear shoes around the apartment. So I could totally just wear these socks and then they're not in shoes. They're not getting all that friction and stuff. So I think these might be work from home house socks. And lastly, I know I said I was going to do the de-spackle, but unfortunately between work and all my other projects and that the quilt block of the month thing, which I don't have a finished block for you like I promised last week because I was sick and I did start working. Because unfortunately crafting gets pushed to the side when I'm getting paid for stuff. Just one of those things, the economics of needing to pay for gas and food and stuff, you know. I'm sure you know how it is. Most people out there are in the working world at this point and they know what it's like. Am I out of focus? I honestly can't tell at the moment. My camera's being funky today. But so I didn't finish the first 2 ounces yet. And I don't think there's a way. This is what I have left of the first 2 ounces. And this isn't pre-drafted, so this is like the actual like roving, well, the actual comb top that came in the package, so it's not pre-drafted or anything. That's my spindle. The cop's getting pretty big, but it's still not done yet. But I can fit the rest of this on here, so I'm not worried about that. But unfortunately, I just don't think I have the time because it is drop spindle spinning, and I'm still not the greatest at it, and it takes me a long time to drop spindle something. So I'm still going to try to hold myself to the de-spackle and get the shawl spun and knit by the end of April, but I'm not going to make it a hard and fast deadline. I'm not going to make it a I have to do this kind of thing. It's going to be a, well, if I do it, great. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. So I'm kind of stepping back from that, and that's taking a lower priority to work and my personal sock club socks and all that good stuff. So that's kind of becoming secondary. So unfortunately, that's, you know, something had to go, and that was the easiest thing to let go. I jumped in on a whim, and so I'm kind of like, I think it's something I can let go. So I'm basically withdrawing. I'm still going to attempt to do it, but I'm not going to like tried to be done to enter myself in like the prize drawing or anything. Because I still think it would be really cool to have a shawl knit from something I spun, because I haven't done that yet. But at the same time, I'm not going to really push myself. I think that's it. There's nothing else on my list to talk about. Again, it's still snowing here. It was snowing at the beginning of this recording, and it's still snowing now. It's been, the last couple of weeks have been crazy here in the Northeast, and we're going to get more pebbled, and now, tonight, it's supposed to drop to Arctic temperatures. Apparently, it'll be warmer in Iceland than it will be here. Yeah. So, it's a little crazy, but, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. You can find me here at all of my info. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, friend me on Ravelry, follow me on Twitter. Most of my tweets are either my Instagram photos or my blog posts, so you don't really get much more by following me on Twitter. And obviously my blog address is in there as well. So feel free to follow me any of those places. Come join the Serenova Crafts Ravelry group. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, Joyce and Heather, for joining that group. But I'd love to have more people join, so feel free to join and get in the conversation. And by the time this video is posted, there will be a thread in the group. So I look forward to seeing you there. Have a good weekend. See you next week.